Ambitious women are told that we can have it all. But what no one really talks about is the cost. Think about it. Can you actually have a thriving career and a fulfilling marriage at the same time? Hi, guys. Tina Lodge, your relationship rescue consultant. And one of the things I know to be true is that many women and couples are challenged with trying to balance having a thriving career and a fulfilling marriage at the same time. And in many instances, as to why I do what I do in my business, why people find themselves in burnout or facing divorce court is because we don't have a strategic plan in place for both. I want you to really think about that. Many women feel forced to have to balance or have a thriving career and think about, let me say that again. Many ambitious women and or couples are often forced to have a thriving career, feeling as though they can't have a successful marriage as well. And so they spend most of their time focusing on this thriving career, right? And for many of you, as was myself, we do know that most of us can do really, really well as it relates to focusing on having a thriving career. But then what happens when we go home? What happens when you walk in that door and you're so stressed out and you're having a conversation with your spouse or your significant other, and they're actually sitting on the couch, but they fail to look up while they're talking, while you're talking? Hey, babe, today I'm just having a hard day. And they just about look up and say, what's happening? And for many, they don't even look up at all. You know, it's funny. Society often applauds success. You know, they feel as though we are doing really, really well as women if we are thriving in our career. They applaud it loudly. But what goes undetected or even quieted is when we are facing divorce. They usually want to save that for behind the scenes. Why? Tell me why. It's because many people haven't worked out, how in the world do I have both? If I've been told for years as a woman, and also as a brown woman, you know, to be successful, you have to get your degree, you have to have an accomplished career, you have to be thriving in your career, only to find out later on that, oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared to do one without the other. And that's what happens. And I found myself personally a few years ago, that's actually how I do what I do so well. I found myself thriving in my career, got my degree and doing really, really well, only to come home and struggling to manage my marriage, struggling to have a fulfillment, struggling to have just a regular old conversation or crack a joke with my husband because I was so focused on my career, which is many of you. You know, it isn't just about balance. You know, it's about being able to strategically incorporate balancing your career, your marriage, and even your legacy. What will that look like? And when we talk about balance, it's usually never a 50-50. But how do we prioritize that balance? How do we prioritize that partner that we live with, we sleep with for many of us? That partner that usually, or we want to be our cheerleader. How do we manage that? So, you know, really today and for the rest of the month, I'll be going live. Let me just put that plug in there. I'll be going live for the remainder of September every single day. Because I figured to myself, if I can change people's lives behind closed doors and save marriages, why can't I do it socially for everyone to see? And what better place than TikTok, Instagram, and everywhere else people find themselves venturing? And oftentimes we venture these places because we're looking for answers. How do I fix? How do I do this? What do I do next? Okay. So I figured to myself, come online, Tina, and start talking to people about what you and how you save marriages. Start talking to people that are like me, ambitious. You know, it's not just ambitious women. I work with ambitious women and couples, but there are many of us, right? And so, how do we balance a successful career, a thriving career, and our intimacy at the same time? And the reason most people find themselves in separate bedrooms, separate homes, or heading for divorce, or in many instances, find themselves in the same bed, but as strangers, is because we've forgot what's most important to us. We've forgotten that before we signed that contract for that job, we actually signed a contract between our spouse, between our partners, between that person that said, I believe in you. That person who said, we have this. That person who said, we are committed until the end. That person who said, we. Unfortunately, we get in these roles, and guess what happens? It becomes me, me, me. Let me give you a little sidebar. I remember days I used to come home before I mastered it. And mastering it doesn't mean I have all the answers. Mastering it means that I'm very intentional about prioritizing my marriage, ambition, and myself. So during these lives, I'm going to be talking about, let's start with self, ambition, our marriage, and the legacy. What do we want our legacy to say? What do we want our legacy to represent? Okay, so I just wanted to pop on and just share a few things. And some of the things, let me just go over this. Some of the key points that I talk about is with clients. I'm going to share 3 of them with you. And give me 1 second, guys, because why is it that after all my Zoom meetings this morning, I think to myself that my laptop's going to stay charged up? I don't know. Give me a second, guys. So yeah, I wanted to share that. So here are 3 key points and actually core points that we need to talk about, and we really need to focus on as it relates to balancing our marriage, our career, and us, self. That's key. So here are 3 pillars we're going to talk about today. 1, we're going to talk about the foundation, which is us, self. What does our foundation look like? Okay, so what that looks like is neglecting self for either our career and or our marriage. The unfortunate thing is that most of us ambitious women and or men and couples, we thrive off of our ambition. We feel as though if we wake up and get dressed and go into our office or whatever we consider ambition in our career, we have it. We have arrived. We have it all together. But we forget that me, is most important first. We become our career. We become that thing that we do on a day-to-day basis. Whatever happened to you? Who are you? And you know what's funny? When I ask my clients, who are you? The first thing that usually comes out of my ambitious women's mouths, which used to come out of mine, is we lead with what we do. What we do as professionals, what we do as wives, what we do as mothers, what we do as sisters, friends, daughters. What about you? Who are you? So that's some of the things I really want you to think about over this weekend. The foundation. You are the foundation. Okay, and the tip I have for that is one of the ways in which I find that I reflect and I help others to reflect is that rest is key. And it's so difficult sometimes to find rest. We go, 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 go. And we feel as though if we take a day off or we sit and do absolutely nothing, that we aren't accomplished. Well, how can you focus on self? How can you think about who you are, what you want, what you represent, what legacy you want to leave behind if you don't stop to rest? Okay. So the foundation is self. And the tip in that and figuring out what self is and what you want that to look like is resting, honestly. The next one is the anchor. And for many of you who are married or who have been married or are considering marriage, the anchor is your marriage. Absolutely, it is. And we often forget that. And you know why I think for me and many of us is because we take it for granted. Yeah, we do. We figure if we're husband or wife is, they should understand. They know I'm busy. They know I'm working hard. They know this is what I have to do. This is our livelihood. This is how we get to shop. This is how we get to trap. And we forget that that is our anchor. Okay. Something I have a strong marriage doesn't just happen. We have to be extremely intentional about it. Hi, Nikki Love. I'm just stopping by here. Hi, Terrence. Hi, Antoine. Hi, Pauline. I can't see everybody, but this is my second day. I'm so proud of myself. This is my second day actually coming live. And so bear with me as I'm learning. Okay. The next one I want us to think is that oftentimes as couples, right, we tend to do more drifting apart. When we have as our ambition, as our focal point, the first thing we think about in life and do, our marriage suffers. Our relationships suffer. Our relationships become an afterthought. Why? Because we take each other for granted. Back to that again, right? And so what I often say to clients is we have to treat our relationships as we do in partnership. The same way we have for those of us who are in leadership roles, for those of us who are business owners, we have to treat our marriages the same way we do our partners, our board members, those colleagues who are on the same level with. We have to really manage those relationships, and more so, that's more priority than our career, right? It should be. And then we go home and wonder what these things from our spouse. Why? How you forget it's our anniversary? How did you forget that I like caramel latte and you're bringing me a hazelnut? Because we aren't prioritizing. So why should they prioritize us? Think about it. It's something how we, and many of us are women, I must say, because I can speak for myself, we become so selfish as we strive or we thrive in our career, right? The next one is the vehicle. And you know what? We talked about the foundation, which is self. We talked about the anchor, which is our marriage. And we also are talking about the vehicle, which is your career. And what that speaks to is your career should be a legacy builder, not a relationship breaker. Let me say that again. Your relationship should be a legacy builder, not a relationship breaker. Think about it. And the next one is success is sweeter when shared with someone who is still standing by your side. And I'll say this again. Success is so much sweeter. And anybody who has their marriage in the forefront, you know that success is so much sweeter when shared with that person you love. And so I just wanted to keep it really, really brief today, in that you can have a successful career and a fulfilling marriage at the same time. It's possible. Okay. Hi, Maud. Nice to see you. Nice to see all of you joining me. Yeah, I'm a new face on live, and I really, really appreciate it. Hi, Sherry. But always that Cheryl. Looks like Cheryl. Um, as days go by, you'll get to know a little bit more about who I am as a relationship rescue consultant. But today and moving forward, I really just want to share with you um, the success and what success looks like when you both have yet a thriving career and a fulfilling marriage at the same time. Over the last couple of years, it's as though divorce is the answer, right? Many people aren't able to balance, and not to mention if you have other things going on in your marriage, right? Like infidelity, financial woes, in-laws, and everything else that goes with it. You two have to be on the same page, because if you two aren't on the same page, you know what happens. So most people are finding themselves in divorce court or in separate bedrooms or separate homes. Why? So one of the things that my heart bleeds for is for marriages. And so when I do get before people and I get before my clients, my goal is to save your marriage. Some aren't savable, some shouldn't have gotten married from the beginning. But for the most part, if you're married and you've managed to stay married through many years and married many challenges, there's an opportunity to redeem yourselves and have a fulfilling marriage and career at the same time. Okay, so here are a few takeaways that you can actively do right now. Hi, Maxine. Hi, Camellia. Nice to see you. Who's that? Flapper Boys. Nice to see you joining, Flapper Boys. Hi, guys. I truly appreciate you just joining, share, comment, and come back every day so that we can get this going and that so that I can flow. The other thing I want to share is that if you have any questions around relationships, period, right? Please feel free to drop me a DM or a comment, and I'll be sure to answer it for you. I haven't a challenge with answering any of your questions, okay? The other thing I want you to think about is, we have those meetings with our CEOs, or sometimes we are the CEO. We have those meetings. Well, why not consider having those CEO meetings as a couple? Prioritize them. Have those meetings. And you should actually have those meetings before you walk out of your home to have those career meetings. They should be prioritized, right? So have those couple meetings. They'll be called CEO couple meetings. Prioritize it. Give yourself a time frame. Some people will have 15, some people will have 20, and some people will have 30-minute meetings. But you know what will work best for you. And no matter how long or how short you have your meetings, make sure you hit on those pertinent points. What's most important to us in this marriage right now? What's most important to us in this relationship? What's going to be most important to us as an engaged couple when we get married? Have those meetings. They are very important. I always say, have a daily check-in, right? Check in on your partner. Babe, how you feeling today? Babe, what you need from me today? Babe, how can I help you today? Just casual. You want a coffee or tea? Apple, orange? Just be thoughtful and do a check-in. And even if your partner says, I'm cool, I'm okay, that's fine. Do it anyway. The next thing I want you to do is try to keep your ambition and intimacy in sync. So if you are constantly thriving in your career and thriving as an ambitious woman and or man, I want you to constantly, at the same time, I want you to think of ways that you can thrive with your intimacy and fulfill each other's needs. So it should never be, how you get on a seesaw, and it's the heaviest person's up. Well, for many of us, the ambition always outweighs our partnership, always outweighs our intimacy. Why? Because most times when we knock off and come home, like I used to do, I'll walk in from a busy day, and my husband might be watching television or just sitting over waiting for me to come, I guess. And the first thing I'll do is sit on that couch next to him. Hi, babe, how you doing? I'm good. How was your day? I would go right into, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today at work. You wouldn't believe what I had to deal with that staff member or that board member. You wouldn't believe my schedule or how many meetings I have coming up. And then right after that, what usually happens? Sleep. So I've divulged everything about my career, and he's sometimes helped me with how I could better manage it. But as it relates to the intimacy, I'm too tired. So I used to go to sleep. So that's just a simple way of stating you have to balance your career and the level of intimacy at the same time. So if you want to come in and talk about your career, I want you to give that a limited time frame too. Okay. And don't lead with that. Lead with, babe, how you doing today? Babe, how was your day? How did things go at the office? How was your doctor's appointment? How did you make out with that friend that you was having problems with? How's mom? How's your sister? How's your cousin? Have those conversations first. And that's what I mean by we can become so consumed and or selfish, right? Hey, Anthony, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, City Kelly, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. My second of many to come. So I'm going to go through those practical action steps again. I want you to, as a CEO couple, have that meeting. And I want you to at least limit yourselves at least 15 to 30 minutes per week to talk about the various things that you feel need to change, you can improve in, or to apologize. It really doesn't matter. Or just to talk about when are we going to have our next date night. I need you to set your agenda. I want you to check in on your girls weekly, the level of stress. Are you keeping to the commitments that you agreed with on Saturday? If you have that meeting on Saturday, babe, on Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to bring you coffee. I need you to follow up. Babe, what's my coffee? What's happening? We said we're going to do A, B, C, and D, but let's have it. I want you to start working cohesively. I want you to become partners again, right? It's unfortunate many times is that, we lose partnership with our husband or our significant other, but yet we show up in those offices, amazing partners. You even have people wanting to be promoted or get promoted because the partner says, oh my goodness, we need Tina as a partner, man. Wow, she is an excellent team member. But you go home and your husband and or wife will say, other. So today I really, really want you to focus in on what that looks like and what that can look like. Okay, guys? So it's nice and short. Hey, Royale. Hey, Glendon. Alan, how you doing? Yeah, I want you to focus in on that today. So can women have both ambition and a successful or fulfilling marriage at the same time? Absolutely. Are women and couples having success in the boardroom and success in the bedroom? Absolutely. But we have to be intentional about it. We have to strategically be intentional about it. What does that look like? How are we going to do it? Hi, Brett. How are we going to do it? And do it. Okay, so I'll be going live again tomorrow with another topic. But thank you for joining. And please comment, 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 share, share, share. Let's do this together. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Friday evening. Bye.